Hello, dear friends. I welcome everyone who is watching Sotnik-TV. Today is Saturday, May 30th, 2020. It's 2 past 7 p.m. in Moscow and our live weekly summary show is on. Despite the pandemic, Russia keeps on rattling its saber. I will cite a report from a source inside Russia's Defense Ministry on May 26. Russia's Defense Ministry, the first launch of Poseidon, an underwater drone, is scheduled for fall 2020. The drone will be launched by Belgorod, a multifunctional nuclear submarine that NATO classifies as Oscar II. The submarine is the first pilot vessel to carry the newest drones. Not a single country in the world obtains such systems, nor means of defending from it. End of quote. So, when it comes to supporting its own people, who are about to starve, the authorities are out of funds. Still, Putin has a ton of money to spend on weapons to threaten the planet. Today I've discussed the relations between the world and Russia that will escalate military mobilization with Alexander Kushnar, an observer. Here's my first question. During the pandemic, people are trying to isolate themselves from the rest of the world. Still, some countries can't keep from demonstrating their own might. The USA announced they were testing laser weapons, while the Kremlin is going to test its Poseidon drones. It looks like no one is giving up the arms race. The relationship between Russia and the West gives me the mental image of the relationship between a dead man and the world outside of his grave. People visit his grave from time to time. Some of them cry and remember good things about the dead man, and others remember bad things and may even spit on his grave. Still, the dead man remains dead, and those who attend his grave remain alive. Each of them stays inside their own environment, and they don't interact. From this perspective, Russia's current activities don't really matter to the rest of the world. As a state and an active part of international politics, Russia is now dead. So when Russian propaganda reports of another testing, of another super weapon, no one even makes a joke about it anymore. Such stories simply can't be revealed to the public by the Western mass media, no matter what is reported by the propaganda inside Russia. A glorious military parade is going to take place in Moscow on June 24th. Despite the many citizens infected with the coronavirus, the order was signed by Vladimir Putin. Putin's troops are to march down the Red Square, and I'm sure that the parade will spread the coronavirus to the people attending. Is the military going to demonstrate some new terrifying weapons during this parade? They can show whatever they want. In fact, it may later turn out to be some props made of cardboard or a cartoon showing Russian missiles flying towards Florida. But here's the reality. Russian troops and their allies who use Russian military equipment in Syria and Libya were already beaten twice during this year as a result of attacks by Turkish drones. In fact, those were just drones. But I could imagine what would have happened if Turkey used its planes. To say nothing of a hypothetical conflict between Russia and NATO, which for me is impossible to see Russia coming out the victor. So Turkey made mincemeat out of Russia's twice. Of course, Turkey used some anti-aircraft systems in order to secure a zone for its own drones over Libya. They moved several frigates equipped with such systems to control the skies. After that, they nailed around 2,000 Russian mercenaries to the wall, as well as the troops of Khalifa Haftar, supported by Russia. The gap between the reality and the picture Vladimir Putin is trying to provide clearly demonstrates the real state of the Russian military. But it's more than that. On June 24th, in the middle of the pandemic, Russia showed that it's not going to soften the Kremlin's stance on holding the celebrations that are only required by Vladimir Putin. He wants to demonstrate his power. The parade is now the only way for him to declare his own legitimacy. He is afraid that once he stops holding parades, the legitimacy may be lost. In fact, this theory may turn out true. As for the rest of the citizens, I highly doubt they wish to have such parades. According to the recent surveys, Vladimir Putin's approval rate has now dropped down to 25%, which is a new record for him. Those numbers were reported by sociologists earlier today. So only 1 out of 4 citizens is now supporting the president, while 3 out of 4 don't. Still, the parade is not the worst part, as the voting day is coming. A day that will surely grant Putin a new term as a president. I'm sure that Russian authorities will fabricate the results of that vote. But will the rest of the world allow Putin to get away with it? World leaders have no other option but to accept those who get to rule over their regions or their states. I doubt that we will see Vladimir Putin prosecuted by an international court of law. Such cases are quite rare. For the last 3 decades, the only international warrant issued was for the president of Sudan. By the way, he met Vladimir Putin a few years prior to that, but later he was overthrown as a result of a military takeover. So from the legal perspective, the rest of the world leaders will have to accept Vladimir Putin. By accepting, I mean conversations, or even perform some common business. But that doesn't mean they will respect him as an equal partner in global politics. In any case, the world will find a way to interact with the territory called Russia, where the state is presently gone. We see how tense the relations between Russia and Saudi Arabia are now. The latest meeting of Vladimir Putin and Prince Salman didn't end well. Does it mean that the oil prices are staying low? What will the coming economic crisis cause Russia to do? Will there be a full-scale political crisis? What safety margin does the regime in Russia still have? It's hard to discuss Putin's safety margin. As was said many times before, there's no direct connection between the economy and the government security. Take a look at Venezuela. The country is still very poor and shows one of the world's highest crime rates. Still, the local military supports Venezuelan President Maduro. The reason is simple. The current regime runs the economy and the social life that benefits the military. The same situation is now seen in Russia. The regime there benefits from chaos, violence and public atomization. Citizens can't unite because they are too poor, uneducated and apathetic to all politics. Such a situation may last for quite a long time. Take care of yourselves, of your health and of your reputation. See you soon.